So we're going to be talking about interpreting pie charts. We're going to start off simple before moving on. First, we're going to go through a couple of keynotes that throughout the lesson will become a bit more apparent and a bit easier to understand. So just have a look at this pie chart. It just refers to first instruments played. So we've got 5 different instruments. They're represented by different colours on our pie chart. We've got guitar, trumpet, drum, flute and piano. And you'll notice that they are measured in degrees. And that is because a circle has a total. Circle has a total of 360 degrees. Okay, so if we were to have a look at guitar is the dark blue. So guitar, it tells us that guitar players for their first instrument, it's 90 degrees. Okay, so that's 90 degrees as a guitar. If you were trying to find out the fraction of these, all you have to do is write out your angle, so 90 degrees, over the total. And then if you were to type this into your calculator using that fraction button where you've got a square, a line and a square, and you typed in 90 over 360, you would have a simplified fraction of 1/4. And you'd be able to find a fraction for every single part of your pie chart. All you have to do is put your angle, so if you do 15 over 360, because that is our total, and then simplify it down if it can. Those are just a couple of key notes to understand, so when you go on to doing a task, it'll make it a little bit easier. So when you're trying to find a fraction, you're going to put the angle they're asking you over the total of a pie chart, which is 360, to find your fraction. Let's start off with a couple of these. So a pie chart represents 18 people. So it's important to note the important information here. So the whole chart represents 18 people. And it asks us how many chose purple. So if we have a look, we've got 2 colours. We've got purple and we've got orange. So out of the 2, it asks us to find how many chose purple. So if we have a look, our circle is perfectly cut down the middle. So that means it's, as a percentage, 50%. And as a fraction, it's 1 over 2. And this would also be 180 over 360 in terms of degrees. But then simplified down, it ends up as a half. So out of 18 people, how many chose purple? So what you'd have to do is you do 18 multiplied by a half, which will give you an answer of 9. Let's have a look at this one. The pie chart represents 50 people. How many chose purple? So we have a pie chart here, and it represents 50 people, and it asks us how many chose purple. Well, hopefully you'll see that the whole pie chart is purple. That means that 60 degrees of it is equal to purple. That means that all 50 people chose purple. What about this one? A pie chart represents 42 people. How many chose pink? So it represents 42 people and it asks you for the colour pink. Now, if you have a look at your pie chart, it actually doesn't represent any of them pink. So that means that no people chose pink. What about this one? The pie chart represents 20 people. Okay, so we've got 20 people. How many chose green? So if we have a look at our pie chart, we'll see that our pie chart is equally split into 4 sections. Now, these 4 sections can also be represented by using a right angle. I'm going to draw them slightly differently so they don't all match up, but each angle is 90 degrees. So we know that each of our sections is 90 degrees. And as a fraction, we're going to do 90 over a total of 360, which is the total degree of our circle, which simplified down equals to 1/4. Now it asks you how many chose green, so we know that 1/4 of the 20 people chose green. So we're going to do 20 multiplied by 1/4, and it gives us an answer of 5. Another way you could have also done it is because it's split into 4, or you know that the green is 1/4, you could have done 20 divided by 4, which would have also given you an answer of 5. Let's have a look at this one. The pie chart represents 46 people. How many chose yellow? So we have a pie chart that's split down the middle, 50-50. So we know that it's going to be 180 degrees out of the total 360, which simplifies down to a half. So we know that half chose yellow, so it's 46 as a total of people, multiplied by a half is equal to 23. Now the way you could have done it is 46 divided by 2, which also gives you an answer of 23. What about this one? A pie chart represents 56 people. How many chose black? So let's have a look. If we just cover up this part of our circle and we have a look just at this half of our circle is split into 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means that there's also 4 sections on this side. So if we were to finish labelling, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we now know that our pie chart is split into 8 sections. So each one of our sections, we're going to find out how many they represent. So if we have 56 in total and our pie chart has been split into 8 different sections, we do 56 divided by 8. And when we do 56 divided by 8, we get an answer of 7. So now we know one section of our pie chart is equal to 7. So if we have a look, there's 1, 2, 3 sections. So sections 6, 7, and 8 are all black. So all we have to do is 7 times by 3, which gives us an answer of 21. What about this one? How many people are represented by the pie chart? So in this question, it tells us that each section of our pie chart is equal to 2 people. Okay, now we have to count how many sections there are. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there's 8 sections and each section represents 2 people. So we have to do our 8 sections multiplied by 2, which gives us an answer of 16. So this whole pie chart represents 16 people. Okay, let's have a look at this one. The pie chart represents 48 people. How many chose black? Okay, so this one's a bit of an inverse. So it tells us that in total there's 48 people. Okay, so let's count how many sections our pie chart has again. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it's 8 sections. And we know that there's a total of 48 in our whole pie chart. So we do 48 divided by 8, and when we do 48 divided by 8, that gives us an answer of 6. And now it says how many chose black. So we'll have a look how many sections of our circle are black. There is 1, so we do 1 multiplied by 6, which gives us an answer of 6. Let's have a look at this one. The pie chart represents 39 people. How many chose red? So you have a look that our pie chart here is now divided into 3 sections. So remember, our total degrees of a circle are 360. It's divided into 3 sections. So we do 360 divided by 3, which gives us an answer of 120. And now remember, to find your fraction, you now know that each one of these sections is equal to 120 degrees. So you're going to do 120 over your total, which is 360. And that simplifies down to a third. So each one of your sections as a fraction represents a third, or 120 degrees. Now the question asks us how many chose red. So we know that red is also 1/3. So we know a total is 39 people, and we have to multiply it by one of our sections, which is a third. So we do 39 multiplied by a third, and it gives us an answer of 13. Another way you could have done it is 39 divided by 3, which would also give you an answer of 13. What about this one? The pie chart represents 28 people. How many chose yellow? So we'll have a look. Yellow, we've got it's split into quarters. So we know it's 90 degrees over 360, which simplified is a quarter. And we know that the total in our pie chart is 28 people from the question. We only need to find out what the yellow is. So we do 28 multiplied by a quarter, and that gives us an answer of 7. Another way we could have done it is 28 divided by 4, or it's written out differently, 28 divided by 4, and that would have also given us an answer of 7. Let's have a look at this one. The pie chart represents 22 people. How many chose grey? And hopefully it's becoming a little bit easier to understand it. So our pie chart is split in half. 50% is grey, 50% is orange. A half, in fraction form, a half is grey, a half is orange. So our answer would be 11. So this one, a pie chart represents 36 people. How many chose red? So very similar to our previous one. It's split into 3 sections. So from our previous example, that means that each section is 120 degrees or 1/3 as a fraction. So we're going to do 36 multiplied by 1/3. Remember to use that fraction button on your calculator to write your fraction, and you'll get an answer of 12. Now let's have a look here. The pie chart represents 72 people. How many chose black? Okay, so if the whole pie chart represents 72 people, if I was to just change my, there we go. So if I was to draw a line that goes straight across, wasn't very well. Let me just try that again. Let's rub this up. So if I was to draw or try to draw a straight line, and that goes all the way across. There we go. That's a little bit better. And let me just rub out that bottom one. Okay, we can kind of see that the quarter of our circle is split into 2. So if I was to write out our sections, we've got 1 section, 2 sections, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, and we know that there's a total of 72 people, and our circle is split up into 8 sections. So we're going to have to do 72 divided by 8. And 72 divided by 8 gives us a total of 9. So 1 section of our circle is equal to 9. And it asks us to find out how many are black. So we've got how many sections in black? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 sections in black. We know that 1 section equals 9, so we multiply it by 9, and we get a total of 63. So 63 people chose black. Now let's have a look at this one. How many people are represented by the pie chart? So have a look at the pie chart. It's split equally into 3 sections. Remember again from previous examples, 1/3 in degrees is equal in a pie chart to 120 degrees. Okay, and it tells us that one of our sections is equal to 9. Okay, so it tells us one of our sections is equal to 9. Because they're equally split into 1/3, that means there's 3 sections in total. So there's 3 sections in total. So in order to find out the total of people represented, you know that 1 section equals 9. You know that there are 3 sections in total. So you do 9 times 3, and that gives you an answer of 27. Let's have a look at this one. How many people are represented by the pie chart? So how many people are there in total? So it tells us that the red section is 21 people. Now if you have a look at the pie chart, we can see that it's split into half. So we know that half of our pie chart is equal to 21. That therefore the other half, because it can't be any different because they have to be equal, our other half also has to be equal to 21. So all we have to do is 21 plus 21. And that gives us an answer of 42. Let's have a look at this one. How many people are represented by the pie chart? So if we have a look, our pie chart is split into 4 equal parts. So they're all equal to 90 degrees, or as a fraction, they're equal to a quarter. Because it's equal to a quarter, that kind of helps you. It means it's split into 4 sections, equal 4 sections. So we know that 1 section is equal to 11. And we have 4 of them, so we have to do 11 multiplied by 4, which gives us an answer of 44. Okay, what I'd like to do is pause this video and have a go at this question. Remember, your total angle for a circle is 360 degrees. Okay, so remember your top angle goes at the at the top, the angle that it's asking you for, and 360 goes at the bottom. This question may not require it, but in any future questions it might be helpful that to find out a fraction you do the angle it's asking you over 360. So pause this video and have a go at this question. Okay, so this question was asking you what is the most common. So using the degrees that it showed you, the most common colour of the car in the car park was black, because that's the one with the biggest amount of degrees. And then the least common car was red, as that's the smallest section. Now have a look at this one. So this one asks you in regards to the most common, a fraction. Remember that fraction, before you simplify it, you do your degrees of your section at the top divided by 360, and then simplify it down into your fraction, and then for part C, you multiply your fraction by the total amount of beads to find your answer. So pause this video and have a go at this question. Okay, so for part A, what is the most common bead colour? It's white. You can see that the white is the bigger section. Part B, what fraction of the beads are green? So we can remember that symbol there, meaning it's 90 degrees. So we would have done 90 divided by 360 on your calculator, which simplifies down to a quarter. And then how many of the green beads are there? It tells you there's a total of 32 beads. So you do 32 multiplied by a quarter, which gives you an answer of 8. You could have also done 32 divided by 4, which would have also given you the same answer. Okay, pause this video and have a go at this question. Okay, so the answer to these ones would have been a quarter for A and 1/3 for B. So for A, it talks about the white. So white is represented there by that little square in the corner, telling you it's 90 degrees. So 90 divided by 360 gives you an answer of a quarter, simplified. And then red was 120 degrees. So you do 120 over 360, which simplifies down to 1/3. Now let's have a look at this example. Please do copy it down as we are going along. So the pie chart shows how office workers get to work. So we've got here, first thing I would do is actually label my pie chart with any missing information. So if I was to write out my degrees for my car, I'd know that my degrees are 90 degrees because it's represented by that nice little square there. Bus, it tells me, and we know that the total in terms of degrees is 360. And it tells us two of them. So we know that car is equal to 90 degrees, and we know that the bus is equal to 120 degrees. So in order to find out what train is in terms of degrees, we have to do 360 take away our two values that are already given to us, so 90 and 120, and we'll end up with train having an angle of 150 degrees. We might need this later, so just keep that on there. So question 1, what is the most common method of transport? So when we have a look, which out of our sections, we've already found out that train is 150 is our biggest section, and the answer for that one would be train. Question 2, what is the least common method of transport? So have a look, which one's our smallest section? It's car. So our answer would be car. Question 3, what fraction of the workers caught the bus? So remember fraction, we do our angle of our section, which for bus is 120. We divide it by our total angles, which is 360. If we put that into our calculators, it simplifies down to 1/3. So the fraction of workers that caught a bus, simplified, is 1/3. Question 4, what fraction of the workers caught the train? So again, train, we know that train is 150 degrees. And then we divide it by 360 to find our fraction, simplified fraction, which is 5/12, or 5/12. So that's our simplified fraction for workers that caught the train. Now, example continued. Let's just write in that missing information that's on here. So this is the same example, just continued onto another section. So there are 36 workers in total. How many workers drove a car to work? So remember that the workers are 90 degrees. So 90 degrees divided by 360 is a quarter. Okay, so then what we do 36 multiplied by a quarter, meaning that 9 workers, office workers, drove to work. So the answer would be 9. Question 6, how many workers caught the bus? Now, hopefully from what we just did, so we did 120 divided by 360, which gave us a simplified fraction of a third. Okay, so this comes from the previous answers to our example. So then we know that there's 36 workers in total, and we know that a third of them caught the bus. So we do 36 multiplied by a third, and that gives a total of 12 office workers that caught a bus. Now, question 7 says, how many workers caught the train? Now, there's two different ways we're going to do this, but we're going to start off with our fraction multiplying. So from our previous answers, we know that 150 over 360 gives us a simplified fraction of 5/12. So we know that there's 36 total workers, multiply that by our fraction for train, and that will give us an answer of 15. So 15 of our workers caught a train. Another way of finding this out is we know that there's a total of 36 workers, and we already know that there's 9 that drove a car and 12 that caught a bus. So if we add those two together, we'll get an answer of 21. Okay, and now we know that there's a total of 36. So if we do 36 take away 21, we'll also get an answer of 15. Okay, so that's another way that you can find out any other missing information.